discriminatory word.
Mhm. Yeah. Tenny, have you got anything to add here? I've got a couple more things, but Tenny, anything from?
Well, I kind of echo your sentiment, Vern. I mean, it is an emotional time, and I wish we could say that all recruiters are created equal, but they're just not.
Yeah.
And I wish we could say the adage of no news is good news, but it's usually not.
Right.
It just means that they've kind of moved on, and it's unfortunate that they don't move on with kind of tidying up at the end, because it sounds like you really have another message for this recruiter to carry to their client, which is ultimately their job. I mean, that's what they're there for. So I would just say you need to communicate with them. And if there is no response, there's nothing you can do. I mean, you can go play whack-a-mole with them, but I'm not sure what that's going to really do.
Other than relieve your frustration.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from my frustration, are Sonia and I looking at this wrong? Is it just objectively, is it unprofessional behavior? Is it unprofessional for these people just to not even give any kind of response over?
Let me give you a different response. If I was the recruiter and I said, Daniel, you're overqualified, and whatever the recruiter said, you know, and so I think recruiters want to try to be professional. So if there's anything else, you know, if you'd like to talk, you know, give me a call. But in their mind, in reality, it'd be better to say, Daniel, this is the end of the road, and you know, you're not qualified anymore. That'd be an honest response, maybe, and you would have closure. Because that's the other thing people are looking for in the job search. When you invest all this time and money or effort into a job search, you just want to know, am I still a valid, viable candidate? Do I still have a chance? Or is this job no longer, you know, viable? But recruiters just won't be that honest with you. They want to pretend they're being professional, I guess, or they, you know, or they just can't, they're unable to be that honest and straightforward with a candidate, which would be, in my opinion, more professional than just leading you on and now frustrating the heck out of you, right?
Is it about litigation?
Well, but hey guys,
they're worried about being sued or not?
I'm sorry.
I was wondering if it was about litigation or worried about being sued.
Oh, always.
For discrimination and stuff like that too.
Always.
Yeah, there's always, you know, there's always that there as well. The other thing.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, that's okay, Sean. No, feel free. Yeah, no, that's again something to be aware of. The other thing that when Joe was talking about overqualified, and she may have said this, I maybe just didn't hear it. The other bias with overqualified is you're going to take the job and you're just taking the job and you're going to look for a better job, higher paying job, like in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months. And so why should we even bother hiring you? So that's in the minds of, you know, and then remember, Shira always says this, the employer is trying to minimize risk.
Right.
So if they do see you as overqualified, that's another one of those risks in their minds.
So I put my question in the chat.
Yeah,
so
Sean,
it's very specific, but I decided to make a change to be a developer, but everybody wants 5 years experience for an entry level position, which is insane.
Okay.
But I'm getting this from every recruiter. So it's just making it incredibly difficult for me to find my first job in the development field right now. So
Sean, can you connect with me on LinkedIn too? Because I'm actually, I sit on several advisory groups of the Cybersecurity Workforce Alliance, and there's massive discussions about entry level jobs and connecting people to those jobs. So I may have a few leads for you in terms of how to go about it. So
okay, I'll check now.
The other thing I would say, Sean, right off the top of my head, do you know any entry level, you know, developers? Do you know people that are in those roles? Can you connect with them through networking somehow and find out, you know, how did you find your job, and you know, where are these jobs, and you learn about the, you know, the industry or the sector that you're looking to get into. I mean, is it every single company is saying they need 5 years of experience for an entry
Pretty
level?
much, yeah.
Pretty much.
It's insane. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had interviews where they tell me that that's the reason a week later, even though they said it was an entry level position and they were willing to train. So it's just really super frustrating right now.
Yeah. And then none of that makes any sense, right? No.
Well, if you say entry level, I assume that's entry level,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
5 years
5 years of
experience. They kind of
experience.
they want to have their cake and eat it too, paying less for somebody who already has the training as
Well,
part of
5
it.
years is really considered junior, not entry. So I think that's just probably somebody's misunderstanding of misappropriating verbiage here.
Okay, I just sent the invite.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
and then it looks like, is it Lena who's looking about what is a polite but not pushy way to follow up while waiting for a response? Vern, what do you think?
Lena, can you tell us a little bit more? I mean, are you responding after you've had an interview?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you. I had the interview about 2 weeks ago. I think it was a Wednesday, and they said that they were in the middle of interviewing, so I would hear back maybe by the following week, which was last week. So now it's been a full week even after that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And the position where I think there's that word overqualified, because it's considered an entry level position, and the pay is pretty low. It's out of state in a lower paying area. I really want the job though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so again, follow up with, whoever, whether it's if it's an internal, recruiter, whoever you've met with, follow up with them. And again, restate your interest in the job, restate why you think you're the best candidate for the job. And obviously you're reaching back out to them. I haven't heard, it's been a couple of weeks. Where are you at in the process, and can you provide me any update, that type of thing?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I wanted to really want it, but I didn't want to sound desperate for it.
No, you don't want to sound desperate. You want to sound confident, and you want to say, hey, I really want this job. Just asking to find out where you are in the process and what the next steps might be.
Okay.
Tenny?
So if I can jump in here and guys, sorry for not being on the first part of the call. I was having my recruiter job and talking to a client who wants a unicorn candidate, and I had to be very new. Really interesting, the timing of this, but I think part of we get this question a lot. We get it all the time, right? How do I follow up? You have to think about what's your reason even for following up. Okay. This is, I think, Deborah, you shared this in the past. There's my time, and then there's the real time. In other words, there's your expectations about getting closure, and then there's what's actually going on with the client. Okay. Let me go into the self-employment side of the world. Okay. So Tenny and Vern, maybe sometimes, we're all self-employed or in small businesses. And sometimes we have to fill out RFPs. Sometimes a client, right, will come to us and say, hey, Shira, Tenny, we're vetting your firm, along with a bunch of, okay. We have learned to put one egg in our basket. We apply, we get vetted, maybe, what have you. And then it's up to the client to figure out, are we the right firm for them? And just like in business development, that's what you guys are in. You're in sales for yourself. You are in business development. That is all that a job search is. Okay. You're selling yourself. Think of every single job search, every single opportunity as one egg in your basket. Emotionally, think of it that way. Because if you hang your hat on that one opportunity, it leads to a lot of disappointment if you happen not to be the right fit. Even if you're so close, right? If they feel for whatever reason, you're not the right one, that's because of their business needs. It's nothing to do with you. Okay. So if you just keep it really open, much more sort of free flowing in your mind to say, you know what, I've put my egg in that basket, toss my fishing, my rod and reel into the ocean, right? Maybe I get a little tug, but maybe it's not the right fish. So this is less about the technique of how do I phrase it and what do I do, but whether you should be at all. even following up. You can, it's not that it's a free country, you can do it, okay? But what I really want to encourage you guys to be thinking about is not be overly anxious about this, because that's why you're doing it, because you want to get closure. At the end of the day, you know, that old expression, we haven't used it in many years, don't call us, we'll call you, okay? That's very much in play when it comes to employers. If you are the right fit, trust me here, they will jump over hill and dale to find you. They will send a carrier pigeon to your home, okay? If you are the one, they will find you. Now, in a case like Dan's, where it's kind of an overcoming an objection kind of a thing, I get it, right? It's not that you can't or shouldn't ever follow up, but your why, the emotion behind it, I want you to ratchet it down, because at the end of the day, it's not about you. I know you want closure, but to find the right fit. So that's my little speech. Okay. You take the anxiety down, because it's just one opportunity. You keep going, right? You keep applying for things until the right thing happens and the right timing happens. Is that helpful?
That is for me. And as you were saying that, I was like, oh yeah, that is me. I am anxious about this job because I really do want it, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like, I'm not feeling good about it. Cause you're right. I think I would have heard from them if I was the right one. So I just kind of have to mentally prepare myself for, all right, this might not be
And Lena,
the right one.
and by
I'll
the
follow
way-
up, but I have to just accept whatever. Yeah.
exactly. And by the way, this is also important. Just because you haven't heard from them in a while doesn't mean that you're not under consideration. In fact, we had a long-term HMM on this call, Jamie, she was very open about her search, and she did finally land, and she landed with this opportunity. And this is one of those positions where she didn't hear. She followed up, and they're like, oh my gosh, so sorry. We're still vetting. It's taken us longer than we thought. She eventually got the job, but man, oh man, it just took so long. So just because they say, hey, we'll follow up in a couple of weeks, things happen. New candidates come in all of a sudden, hiring manager changes their mind on something, somebody goes on vacation, whatever, everything takes 4 times longer than you think it will. So even at the very beginning, again, lower your expectations around when they say if they're going to call you back, and they don't. It could be another couple of weeks. It could be a month. It could, I mean, I've heard of people who, 3 months later, it's a long time, but all of a sudden, like, again, everything went on hold. And the thing with recruiters is most recruiters are too busy. Watch this. They're too busy to let you know when there are changes going on behind the scenes. As far as they're concerned, they think that you're just waiting by the phone, which is not necessarily true. You might have gotten another job for all they know, but they think that you're at their beck and call. That's just the way that recruiters think. Things are going on behind the scenes, things that you have no idea about. All kinds. Sonia, you've been in HR a million years, right? You've been a recruiter. You understand. Vern, Tenny, we've all of us, right, have done this. Stuff happens where you have, and frankly, it's not appropriate for us to share. We're not going to call you every day and say, hey, by the way, the hiring manager said, of course, we can't. That's silly to even think about that. And yet, that's actually emotionally what job seekers are thinking. They're wanting the little updates. Oh, I'm not going to hear from you for another week. Why? Like, what's, okay. As long as you tell me that, I'm not going to hear for another week or two, I'm feeling better. No, you just chill out, let them do their thing. You do your thing. You look for a job. They look for candidates. Both of you are fishing. Both of you are fishing. That's exactly what's going on. Just like you're not going to update them on your job search every 2 minutes.
If they asked, they would.
Right?
Yeah.
It's silly, right? But of course you're not going to. Now, if they want you, a good recruiter is going to say, hey, Lena, we haven't talked in a minute. Has anything changed with you? Are you pending on any opportunities right now? Blah, 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 blah. They will ask you that. Okay. But it's not for you to call them every 5 days and say, oh,
right.
I've got it. Right. But yet we expect that of the job. We expect that of the employer. Isn't that interesting? We're not going to do it.
That
we
was
want them to do it.
That was my concern, because I want to make sure that they know that I'm still interested. But the not being desperate part, because it was like a 40% pay cut. So I gave them that range. And I'm afraid if I do a follow-up, they can be like, oh, we can stick her with the lower end of the range because she sounds interested.
Don't worry about that. No, as far as the desperation thing goes, recruiters don't think that way, just so you know. If you follow up, they're not thinking to themselves, oh, she's super interested, therefore we can get her for a lower salary. That's not how it works. You can follow up and it's totally fine.
Yeah,
go
I was gonna say, that's the other thing. I mean, Lena, if you are interested, I agree with everything she was saying, But if you are interested in his job, there's no reason, if it's been 2 weeks, there's no reason why you still can't follow up with them.
Yeah.
So-
And by the way, psychologically, this is across the board. Ready? Employers, recruiters, HR people will assume you are interested in the role unless you tell them otherwise. Period.
But what about keeping the candidate warm? Is that over with now? They don't do
Yeah,
that?
it's changing a little bit now because of the market. And what Sonia's referring to is in a really tight market, we're getting back there. I mean, look how many people we have on this call now. We used to have triple the size, okay? The economy's changing. People are getting jobs quicker. The employers are having to move faster. What she's talking about is touching base, when an employer touches base with the candidate to take their pulse to say, hey, are you still interested? Hold on, don't go anywhere. You know, you're still under strong consideration. It's taken us a little bit longer. What's going on with you? Are you pending anywhere else? That's what keeping the candidate warm is all about. That will happen in one of two situations. Either as the market changes and employers start to realize they're losing people, right? Because people are getting jobs quickly and they want to hold on to their top candidates and make sure that they're really interested. Or it just really is, regardless of the market, it's somebody who they love, like love, and they really don't want anything to happen, so they'll keep the candidate warm. Marvin.
What do you do? Good morning, everybody. What do you do when it's been like 2 weeks? You haven't heard anything. The interview went so well that everybody walked away feeling like this is a good fit. And you reached out and people on vacation, or I'm going to call you back, or this person's supposed to call and nobody calls. What do you do in that case?
You hang tight. Just like you're saying, things happen. They haven't forgotten about you, but life has happened on their end. It's more important to you than it is to them.
Okay.
Unless they think they're going to lose you. If they think they're going to lose you, then they might. And that's the other thing. If you get another offer, a legitimate other offer, absolutely call your first choice employer and say, hey, I just got another offer. I wanted you to know I'm your first choice. You know, if there's anything we can do to expedite the process, that would be great. Man, if you are their first choice, but they just didn't tell you that, they will jump through hoops. They will push things forward. It'll light a fire under them. Definitely tell them.
All right, I did, the HR lady did call, when I talked with her about a week and a half ago, she was saying that they're still trying to create this position and get it signed off by some of the VPs and the president of the company. So the position that they interviewed me for is not even together. It's not even an approved position. However, they were considering if I came in at a lesser one for about 6 months and then come into another, but I haven't heard anything since then.
Okay, Marvin, that unto itself means it's going to be a much more delayed process because it's not a live opportunity. They've got a lot of considerations on the back end. Trust me on this. You're not going to hear for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. For them to say it when there's a question mark, well, maybe you could.
You froze.
Well, not urgent. Think about, I just froze. Did you guys hear me? Did I just freeze?
No, you froze.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I did want to say, Joe, I sent you a request through LinkedIn, Joe.
Yeah, I did get that. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
And Marvin, when they say they needed to have it approved, and it's a new position, you don't know how many approvals it needs to go through, and then so-and-so's got to sign it, and they're on vacation for 2 weeks, and it just again.
And then they change their mind, and then the person who says that we needed this, then there's someone else says, well, do we really? Do we need to create a whole payroll line item? It's a lot of business considerations before they actually decide to add headcount.
Okay, great, thanks. And the information you gave to Lena was good. I was listening to that for me as well. So thanks for that as well.
Okay.
Other questions? Sandra, did you raise your hand?
Yes, good morning. Yes, when Daniel was talking about not hearing back from recruiters, I know that when you work the agency side and it can be quite cumbersome. Sometimes you may have a whole ton of recs, 40, and they're all in different subjects from accounting to IT. So it is almost unmanageable to get back to all the candidates. It sounds like an excuse, but it's hard for us to see because we haven't sat in that seat. But definitely, it doesn't make it acceptable. Of course not. But on the agency side, you do find that more. On the corporate side, you usually oftentimes will not have that many recs. But what I've seen work sometimes is a candidate, if they have the hiring manager's email, they may reach out to the hiring manager. But again, only after they've tried to reach through to HR or to recruiting a couple of times, then they might go through the hiring manager and just say, hey, I enjoyed our discussion last, 2 Thursdays ago, whatever. Just curious as to where you are in the hiring process, because I've seen that forwarded to HR or to another recruiter. And then because there's another level of, oversight on it, then that recruiter will just reach out real promptly usually and just say, oh, Daniel, XYZ happened, but that has worked on the corporate side. And Shira, thanks for the reminder about looking at the job search as a BD, because I know when you get those times where you've been interviewed 3 times by a company, you're like, okay, I feel good, you feel good. And then, 2 weeks will go by, but just a reminder that it is like BD, or maybe even it's a sales opportunity. You're going to have to keep going and going. I'm going to have to keep going and going and churning and fishing, no matter how good I think it went. There should be fishing for another 15 opportunities. And
It's all fishing.
Yeah.
It's fish. You can use whatever analogy you want. It's fishing, it's agriculture. You plant seeds. You don't know which ones are going to sprout. I mean, we could go on with all that stuff. And at the end of the day, it's whatever God's will is. Okay. I just have to say that for the record. Okay. It's either his will or it's not. It's either your job or it's not. It's either your assignment or it's not. Right. Your job is to go plant seeds. His job is to let you know, is this the right opportunity? I had this happen, I think it was a week ago, something like that. I was being vetted for a search, an executive director search. And I was one of 2 firms that was being considered. Well, sorry, they vetted a bunch of people, but I was down to the finalists. There was me and another firm. And I had a really, really great interview with the search committee, hugs, kisses, the whole shebang. And then the search chair called me back and she said, sure, I just want to let you know, we gave it to the other firm. And she explained why, and it was totally legit. She says, oh, we loved you, blah, blah, blah. But the other firm had, more sectoral experience. Oh, okay, fine. Well, and anyway, in the meantime, I had already alerted one of the references who was, actually very much in their sector to say, to previous search I had done saying, hey, just letting you know, you might be hearing from these folks. So I wrote her right back after I heard from the chair. And I said, I said, I didn't get it, and my reference texted me back a little sad face emoji. And I said, no problem. All good. That just means that God had something else for me. And she was like, wow, okay, cool. That's it. That's done. It just wasn't for me. It was for the other firm. They were meant to get it. Okay. And I was meant to do something else. I don't know what that is, but God will show me. So I just want to encourage you, just relax, it's okay. And whatever's supposed to happen will happen. Okay. Yeah, Sonia.
Okay, I want to get back to that desperation thing about not feeling desperate. I did an interview that I really wanted it a couple of weeks ago, and I did feel desperate. I felt desperate from the moment I picked up the phone, like, you have got to shine in this. And I feel like I went overboard. It was supposed to be a 30-minute interview. We went 45 minutes because I kept talking. And that says a lot because I'm not very loquacious. But I wanted to show everybody, I wanted to show the interviewer that I really can do this and do it well. And I could. And so when you find I knew when I got off the phone, I called a couple of colleagues. I said, I was so desperate. I didn't do this well. And it was an industry that I was so interested in. And I mean, is there any hope? Should I go back and try to find out, did I bomb it, or should I just leave it alone and
Nope, leave it alone.
leave it
Sonia,
alone?
leave it alone. Leave it alone. Either it's meant or it's not. Going back, like seriously, what good is that gonna do? Seriously, whatever.
I said, I was listening to
What are they gonna say? Yes, you bombed it. I mean,
No,
like,
I
like,
wrote what you all said. Follow
There's
up,
really-
restate
there's-
why
there's-
you're the best candidate. Ask them for any update. I was going to do something like that. Because I
you
really,
can ask them for an update. That's fine.
yeah.
You can ask them for an update, Sonia, but again, I really just want to encourage you, move on, you know,
No,
plant
I
more
know.
seeds, put
I
more
wanted
eggs,
you to say differently.
go for more
Why
eggs.
does
That's it.
desperation, why is it negative? Why, because basically it would make me think, oh, they really want this.
Because again,
Go ahead.
well, look, I don't know. We don't know whether the employer felt that from you or not. And I'm not even saying whether it's a negative or not. So I think I would just take that piece out, right? Either you're the right fit or you're not. Okay. Regardless of how much emotion you put into your responses. I don't think that they're going to feel like, because I know as a recruiter, look, son, you've been a recruiter, right? Long time
Yeah.
as HR. I like it when a candidate is enthusiastic. All right. That's fine. I don't typically, I know that most candidates are nervous. So I kind of get that. So I'm not really listening for desperation or not desperation, because I know that they want the job. Otherwise they wouldn't be, or I hope they want a job. Otherwise they wouldn't be interviewing. I'm much more interested in, can they do the work? Do they want to do this work? Are they going to be a good cultural match? All the different things. That's what listening for. So I would just take your emotional piece out of it. Just get that out of your head. Because I don't think that they were listening for that. I really don't.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Other questions?
Check that one.
Deborah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Deborah.
Yeah, I put this in the chat and I'm curious if you have any tips for finding recruiters on smaller organizations on LinkedIn, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I'd love to find out who the recruiter is. And for smaller companies on LinkedIn, maybe 30, 40, 50 people, you don't like magically pop up and say head talent acquisition recruiter. It might be one hat of many that they wear in an organization. So just curious for finding, like, if I have like, oh, this is a target company, I might want to reach out to a recruiter, but sometimes I go on LinkedIn and I can't figure out who the recruiting person is.
Okay, so here's what I would do. It's a great question, Deborah. I don't think we've actually got that question before. So just to level set, okay, because I know you know how to use LinkedIn, not everybody here does. So what you want to do first and foremost is put the name of the organization in the search bar, okay? And when you do, if it's a company that has a LinkedIn page, their name will start to pop up. In fact, let me just go ahead and do that right now as a quick training. Okay. All right. So hold on a sec. All right, Deborah, do you want to just give me the name of a company? We can start with that. Deborah? Are you on mute? All right, Deborah, I can't hear you. So I'm just going to start with one. I'm going to put American Red Cross. Okay, that just happens to be my. So when I start typing in American Red Cross, see the company name pops up. All right, so I'm going to pull this up. And I'm going to pull up their page. Now, right here, it says 27,000 employees. It looks black. It actually is hyperlinked. So go ahead and click on the hyperlink. Now, they're a massive organization, which means that likely they're going to have recruiter, talent acquisition, something like that. So I would start with that. So I would type in the search bar again, I would do maybe talent acquisition. And here we go. Senior talent acquisitions. They've got a lot of them actually. Okay. Or I might have been able to type in recruiter, you never know. But that's because it's a very large organization. Let's say it's a small one. Somebody got a name of a small one they want me to put in here?
Yeah, the company I was looking, I realized I was on mute. It's called Assertitude, ACERTITUDE.
Here we go. Oh, but they're, oh, I see, because they're a staffing company. Anyway, all right, that makes sense for you. All right, so it's all 68 employees. Now, it's a little tricky, Deborah, because it's a search firm. So search firms have searchy titles like VP Talent. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the recruiter for the staffing firm. It probably means that's just the title that they give the search consultant. So this is probably a little funky example. But what I would suggest here is if it's a small organization, you go down and you start looking for who is the closest to HR. So it's 68 employees, likely they have. You can, what's happening here? You could go, there's a chief of staff. Oh, there you go. Okay, you have to do a little detective thinking. Staff administration, maybe that might be the person. I don't know if they have a human resource person, but you can try that out.
Shira,
Mm-hmm.
Joe here. When you're done, do you mind if I do a screen share?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have a director of finance, we had a chief of staff. So I would go through all of those pages to see if there's anything HR. And if there's not, then what you look for is somebody what we would call finance and administration. So CFO, COO, HR, office manager, if it's a small firm, something like that. The person who is kind of the administrator for that firm. That's how I would do that. Is that helpful, Deborah?
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Sure. All right, let me give you, Joe, I just gave you screen share.
Okay, great. So I would like to just show you, I had shared in the chat this Chrome extension. So I would love to show you how this works. So here's where I'm going to try to make it a little bit bigger. So like there's this Director of Talent Acquisition and Operations role at a company called Circle, and this job seer will give me this information. It says that I'm only a 60% match. It tells me that these are the keywords that I'm missing, but if I know that I have these, then I can redo my resume for this role. But as I scroll down, they will also tell me, hold on. You can click on contact the recruiter, and here's the recruiter right here. So I can just actually find out who the recruiter is. The people who invented JobSeer actually have a tool by which recruiters use to try to find contact information for candidates, and then they reverse engineered it so that you'll be able to find out the contact information for the recruiter. It's just that simple. So I cannot more highly recommend this tool anytime you're looking at any kind of a job. So, then I can click that. Oh, hold on. Where is the? Okay, so let's go to the next role and see. Okay, this one's for Facebook. So I'm not sure if they're going to have the actual recruiter for Facebook on here, but they might. Let's just see what they've got. Contact the recruiter.
Wow.
Yep, and they have the recruiter right there. That's the name of the recruiter and their LinkedIn thing so that you can contact them. You can actually get their email address if you click on this, but I don't want to use up that particular credit for this. But let me just see what happens, just in this instance. You can get email address. Okay, yeah, each day. So basically you can do 5 per day. So you can actually get their email address, but you've got their LinkedIn, so you can go right to their LinkedIn and try to connect with them on LinkedIn. So seriously, it's like the most valuable tool that I know of because it reverse engineers your job search for you. So here's the next position, which is where at Roanoke Regional Partnership in Roanoke, Virginia. I wonder if they have the contact information for the, yep, there's the recruiter right there. So it just makes it so much easier where you don't have to do a lot of sleuthing. You just can click right on it and get the contact information.
Thank you for demoing that, Joe. That was awesome.
Okay, you're welcome. It's my favorite
Marvin.
tool to use because I feel like it optimizes the job search. It tells you what, your keywords are missing, what they even have recommendations for, like if you're connected somebody in that company, they said ask for a referral, and then you can click on that and it'll tell you who can refer you for the job.
Joe, I have a question. I didn't see how you did the job seer.
Oh, you just, if you look in the chat section, I actually put the link for job
Oh,
seer
great.
on there.
Thank you.
It
Okay.
should be, yeah, like if you scroll
Yes.
up a few, you just click on the job seer, and then that, that will take you to how to create but you have to do it on Chrome. It only works on Chrome. It's because it's a
Okay.
Chrome extension.
All right, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? All right, do we want to wrap up a little early? Are we good? Okay, well, good. And thanks, Vern and Tenny and Joe for pinch hitting while I was a little delayed. But appreciate you. And by the way, just to follow up actually on that call that I just had, I always, it's nice to give little case studies here. And actually, I'm gonna share the search. Hey, it's a unicorn search. So let me use this platform to let you guys know what it is, in case you know of anybody. Here we go. Right, it's all about networking. So I'm conducting a search for an environmental and environmental and transportation consulting firm. They're looking for a manager of proposals and business development. So here we go. This is a real classic kind of a thing that we recruiters get. Here's the unicorn, the purple squirrel. This is somebody who needs to come from an architectural engineering firm, having done marketing and proposal management, and they need to have some decent federal proposal management experience too, because this firm does both. They do commercial and they do federal. And so the person's going to do a lot of proposal writing, pulling the teams together. They're also going to do some BD strategy. And so I'm looking for all of these things, right? So it can't just be someone who comes out of government contracting. It has to be a consultant. They have to have work in the architectural engineering, have had architectural engineering, clients to work for. So I'm putting that out there for, in case anybody knows, but more importantly, I wanted to share with you an example of what we recruiters go through. And so I am digging on LinkedIn right now. And in fact, the client and I had a touch base call because the first couple of candidates that I found weren't quite on target, right? They had proposal management, but they didn't quite have architectural engineering. And so we had this 20-minute call around, okay, nuance. And I had to say, well, what are your must-haves? What are your nice-to-haves? And what are you willing to, and what do you mean by, strong federal experience? Well, we don't mean a $1 million contract. We want a $10 million contract. I mean, like nuanced, okay? Because they want someone who can hit the ground flying. That's kind of the situation, right? So I just want you to understand what we recruiters go through when you guys come to us and say, oh, no, but I can do it. You might be able to do it, but as far as they're concerned, when they minimize their risk, they're minimizing it by, have you done it basically exactly like we've done it, or at least very, very close to that, okay? So just keep in mind how this works. I'm gonna actually go ahead and put the, I'm gonna put the search link or the job posting link in the search box in case anybody knows of anyone or is willing to help me out here, because again, super niche. All right, and while I did not share the name of the company on this call, because technically it's a confidential search, actually the name of the company is on the posting. We just didn't want it to be totally public, but the company name is actually there, so if you're interested in who they are. Okay, so with that, always like to end with a prayer call. So for those who would like to stay on for that, you're more than welcome. For those who would like to hop off, you're more than welcome too. And we will see those of you who hop off next week. Oh, I should let you know something. This is important. So this Zoom call that we've been on, it's been a recurring meeting, but they only let me do it for 1 year. So I actually, as of next week, or maybe it's in 2 weeks from now. Yeah, we have one more week for this link. And then the following week, we're going to have a new link. So I will update that on Meetup, but I wanted you to be aware that in 2 weeks time, there is going to be a new Zoom link, okay, for us to go on. Guys, just be aware of that. All right. Okay, y'all. Great to see you, and happy to stick around for those who want to stay on the prayer call. Otherwise, have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.